To evaluate an expression, what you're doing is we're going to replace the variable or whatever letter you have there, replace it with the number that's there, and then you want to evaluate and get the answer. So for something like this, x over y, all we're going to do is replace the x with 288, replace the y with 4, and then just divide that to get the answer. So we have 288 over 4. And if you divide that, you're going to get 72. So you do want to make sure that you get the final answer on that. You don't want to just leave it as 288 over 4. You do want to get down to the final answer with evaluating for these kind of problems. Next one, negative 10x plus y. X is negative 2 and y is 8. You're going to do negative 10 times x, which is negative 2, plus 8. Be careful in this one. Negative and negative, when you multiply two negatives, you get a positive. So this is going to give you positive 20 plus 8, which is going to give you 28 as the answer. For the square one here, next, you got to be careful when you plug this in. Now, the square, that is applying to the entire x. So when I put negative 11 in here, I don't want to write it like this. This is actually incorrect, okay, because then the square would only apply to the 11, and this is actually going to be like negative 121. What you're really doing is you're raising the entire number to the power of 2 because you're replacing the x with negative 11, so that whole number is being squared. So negative 11 squared is going to give you positive 121. Next one here, we have x cubed minus 2y. X is 2 and y is 3. So we're going to do 2 cubed minus 2 times the y, which is 3. Order of operations says we have to do this first, so we're going to do 8. Okay, now that that's done, we can do multiplication next. We have to do multiplication before we do subtraction, so this is going to be a 6. And so 8 minus 6 now is going to give you a 2. So you always want to make sure you're aware of your order of operations when you do these kind of problems. So 2 is your final answer there. You may have more than 2 variables here. This is 3 variables. Process is still the same. Replace the letter with the number that we have. Okay, so x is going to be 6. The y is 3. Then we have a minus. Inside the other absolute value, we have x, y, and z. So 6 times 3 times negative 2. We're going to multiply each of these inside. So we're going to get 18 for this first one. This one, we get negative 36. 6 times 3 times negative 2. Since there's one negative inside, there is a negative inside the absolute value. Now, there's negative outside the absolute value and inside, those don't cancel. Okay, so we have to do the absolute values separately. Absolute value of 18 is 18. We still got the minus sign that is in between those. Absolute value of negative 36 is positive 36. So instead of having 2 negatives, we actually have just 1 negative. This negative was the original one that was in between the 2 absolute values. So now we just do 18 minus 36, and that's going to give you negative 18. And so that's your final answer for this one, negative 18. So let's do a couple of you try it problems. We got 5a minus b. 5 times a is 1, and b is 8. So we're going to do a minus 8. So the minus sign has to stay there. All we're doing is replacing the variable only. So if you get rid of the b, you put an 8 in there instead, but you still have to subtract it. 5 times 1 is 5. And now we just do 5 minus 8. That's going to give you negative 3 as the answer. So let's do a couple more. All right, so we've got x squared plus 5y. We have these two given. X is going to be negative 4 squared. And then we have plus 5 times negative 8. Common mistake is to accidentally forget to put in the negative in here. So just be careful when you're writing that in there. We need to do the exponent part. Start with that. We get 16. We have a plus sign. And then this part, we're going to multiply that and we get negative 40. Okay, so we have 16 plus negative is really the same thing as 16 minus 40 on that. And then we'll just combine that together to get the answer. So again, you got to be careful when you do these, the plus and minus signs on these, and also make sure you're following your order of operations on that. This is not going to be a positive. This is going to be a negative answer because there's more negatives than there are positives. So this is going to give you negative 24 as your answer. All right, so let's do another one of these where we've got the couple different variables. We got x, y, z. So we're going to do 3 times negative 4 times 5, negative 5. Okay, so x, y, z, just put all three of those in here. Plus, then we have absolute value of x times z, so 3 times negative 4. We need to work all these out separately inside here. So this one, you're going to get, so if I multiply these two negatives, that's going to give me a positive. So these two multiplied will give me a 20, and then 20 times 3 will give you a 60 inside. And then this is the absolute value of negative 12 because of that. So we have to apply the absolute values here separately. Absolute value of 60 is 60. And in this case, you're adding 12 to it because that negative sign is going to go away. If we add that together, you get the answer of 72.